Hello guys, and welcome to a new Wargame video today by me, Vulcan, and Val.
Hello ladies and gentlemen.
Today we have the third game of the best of three between ANZ and Crna Buksna. So far we've seen Tough Jungle, where ANZ wiped out the opposing team, Crna Buksna. Then we saw another D-Day in Paradise, where we saw Crna Buksna take the fight back to ANZ, and now we're landed on Paddy Field, where we're going to be seeing once again the two teams take each other on. Over on the blue side today, we do have Crna Buksna with Razman, Firestarter and Dirty D, and over on the red side we have ANZ with Cheer Up, Faust and Nandamanai. So for this last game in the best of three, what are your thoughts, Val?
Well, the pressure must be mounting for these two teams because everything is on the line here. I mean, there is still the losers brackets. One of these teams will go to losers brackets, so knowing how good they are, I still think they'd have a decent chance in there. But obviously, you want to win. You want to be in the winners bracket, and you want to advance through that as fast as possible. So let's take a look at the two teams and what they've taken. So we'll start over with Crna Buksna on the blue side, and I believe they're exactly the same as last game. So we have Dirty D with a full NATO deck that he used last time. I think that must be... It seems to be like a motorized deck. Well, actually, no, it probably can't be because he's got 105s. Either way, it's he's got a full NATO deck. We have Razman with his Scandinavian deck. That's the one. Which he put to very good effect last game. We sang his praises in that one because he really deserved it. And Firestarter going with his Eurocore deck. So a very well-rounded composition. It worked for them last game, not so much in the first game, but we'll have to see. So over on the red side with ANZ, we have, I believe, the same again. We've got Faust on a Soviet Korean deck, and then Nandamanai and Cheer Up on regular Soviet decks.
Awesome. So even though the red side here, ANZ, lost with those red 4 decks in the last game, due to them using too many high quality units, they're trying to go for it again, and I think that's definitely going to be interesting. See if they can make use of the Yakude and SU-122 combo. I definitely think that in this map they have a much better chance of making that work. It's going to be a lot harder for the blue side to use their concentrated infantry in forest skirmishes because the forests are so much more spread out, and the only place where that might actually come into effect is possibly above Echo on this map. What do you think about where they're going to put their focus on the map?
I think honestly, from the way the red team is deployed, I think they might go for some kind of a cheeky big push into India. We'll have to see how exactly it goes. The blue team, on the other hand, has deployed, seems more towards the bottom side.
Yeah.
With actually units from all three players, I think, down there. So it looks like they have some kind of plan here.
Yeah, it seems that you are definitely right about that. Hotel looking possibly to be the focus, or maybe even just the middle 4 sectors. Probably more likely Mike, Lima, Echo, Delta. They're probably going to be making a massive push through the middle, whereas the red side going to be coming down from the top towards Bravo immediately, and not so many units starting in Foxtrot heading up to Delta. So it looks like blue side focusing more in the middle, red side focusing more on the top and bottom. But on this map, all of the sectors are 1 point, so it's going to be a lot harder for both teams to accrue a big lead in this game.
That is true. I would like to pay attention to something the blue team is clearly superior on, because Firestarter's got that memeing down to a T. Pat and I'm calling you out. Some current affairs from the Wargame subreddit in this tournament, ladies and gentlemen. So we'll have to see if the if the red team can come up with their own meme pings, but I'm not sure they can match that, Lewis.
I know, right? Like, blue side is clearly superior. They do love to put off us casters with a few pings on the map, and they can get quite distracting sometimes. I was trying to hold back my laughter once I saw the pattern I'm calling you out ping, but there we go, moving swiftly on. Let's have a quick look at these unit compositions. We've got the XA 186NOs coming out again from Razman, which are the highly armoured APCs. They should be able to survive very well and get themselves into position alongside the Wildcats and the Panzerbills and so on. A really nice composition of forces there, although he is kind of lacking heavy tanks. He's got the STRV 103D in there. Let's see if Firestarter possibly making up for that with the Leclerc and some other units there. There's a couple of Crotals, very good starting AA to shoot down enemy helicopters. In the top side, looks like Razman and Dirty D. Good combination of forces here, the Hachi and Nanashikis coming out. But over on the red side, we're going to be seeing much cheaper units. We've got BTRDs with the VDV again, which aren't so cheap, but some SU-122s, definitely a good starting unit. I think for sure, because it can allow you to destroy some enemy infantry very quickly. We do have a Buratino from Faust again, so it'll be interesting to see if that actually does well this time round. And in the bottom, wow, cheer up with those BMP3s and the T72BU and a Buratino. Very expensive choice of units again. It will be interesting to see if this pays off this time round.
I think you always have to remember that in Wargame, in the current meta, if you can create a composition where you have a super heavy tank and adequate support for it, like those BMP3s and that Tunguska, it pays for itself so well, because as long as you keep that BU alive, should I say, then it's just so effective and cost effective. Like for example, you see Firestarter brought in a Leclerc. The problem with the Leclerc is that is like food to a BU. In a straight up fight, the BU will just absolutely annihilate it. So it's, this is probably what Cherub's trying to do. He wants to get these these picks on the blue team, because he's probably noticed over the past games the sort of tendencies they've made to bring out, like I think Firestarter had a Leclerc first last game as well.
Yeah, a few skirmishes coming in here and there at the start of the game. Helicopters going down from both sides. We did see a Spetsnaz VMS squad be taken out in the top. All the APCs being taken out by these Weasel Toe 2s at the bottom. But now the heavy forces coming in, the BMP3s and the T72BU charging there. And it looks like Razman's convoy is being absolutely wrecked at the moment. They're pushing into BTR-80s, this MI8 MTV with the 122mm rockets did a lot of damage. These two Spetsnaz crew squads are in a perfect position to do a lot of damage to this infantry, and the SU-24M also coming in, but missing that bombing strike completely. Not very good for the red side team at all. But now the Buratino coming out from Faust, and this is going to do a lot of damage to this infantry pushing up here. Those FSK definitely going to be hit hard, and that's going to allow the Spetsnaz crew to continue firing onto those squads and start taking them out.
That was an absolutely disgusting Buratino strike right on top of them. I'd like to bring attention down, we'll stop, because there's a Fighting Falcon coming in, and that could be very, very dangerous for all those Yakuday.
Yeah, it looks like it was going for the Yakuday, but it's actually going to land on the T90S as it reverses into it. The Buratino from Faust in the bottom side as well, or was it Cheer Up, sorry, managed to wipe out all those infantry in the town left side of Hotel, and now the heavy units picking off the rest of the units there. So that's opened up a massive opportunity for Cheer Up and his heavier units in Hotel. The push being stopped at the bottom side of Echo is just done so much, and again another Buratino strike from Nandimanai actually hitting into Lima and leaving that completely exposed to the Spetsnaz Gru and the Yakudays as they push through.
I think that the blue team just went for a very risky play when they tried to push all this stuff into Echo. And I mean, potentially they could still keep up the pressure there, but I think that's just not going to work out quite as much as they'd want to. And in the bottom side, I was talking about this BU versus Leclerc matchup, and the Leclerc is now away on 3 HP getting repaired, and the BU's on full health. So, you know, it really, you just can't mess around with a BU like that. You need to be careful and probably get some air support, I think.
I think the main reason that Leclerc was low was because of the BMP3s, but look at this, the T80UM still advancing from Nandim and I, and that's going to be able to take out the Leopard 1A5 very easily, as the gun was microed on and off to get that wonderful shot of the cannon, and then the ATGM straight after. Nandim and I microing that very well to take out that medium armoured tank.
Well, you know, this is just what we talk about when we say about just how micro-skilled these players actually are. They really know their stuff.
Yeah, the push into Echo from Razman is just completely ended up as a failure. Those Gvarmen are not going to make any ground against a T90 and the Spetsnaz crew left there, especially with the reinforcements coming up. And now these Nandim and I's infantry has an amazing position in Lima, and also the Spetsnaz crew on the road. They're going to be able to cut off reinforcements. It's just not looking good at all. Not anything showing in terms of conquest points just yet, but there will be shortly, as Faust is bringing in a command infantry unit to capture Echo.
Yeah, I mean, at this stage in the game though, it's all about getting control of your enemy sectors though, like this early stage. And the red team has just done that wonderfully, while the blue team failed their push into Echo. You know, Faust and Nandemanai just went straight across to Lima. Although nice strike from those Puffs and SK-60Bs.
Well, the SK-60Bs actually missed all their missiles because I think they retargeted onto the T-80s too late, and the missiles just went everywhere. But the T-90 now being pushed to the bottom side here by Faust, and it looks like they're counter-pushing towards this tree line, which is being held by the blue side.
They are, although I think it is quite dangerous. There is still a lot of stuff there, but as long as this BU on the bottom side can hold off those units, which I think it can, then there's not really too much risk to doing that.
Yeah, the T-90 going to be picking off any heavy units as they show themselves, and the Yakuday really just taking all the fire and sponging all that damage, which is exactly what they're there to do. And this is going to allow the Su-24M to come in here and land hopefully what is to be a really nice bombing strike, although it didn't really hit too much, stunned the Kratal, and the MiG-27, not quite sure what that went for.
This BU has to be quite careful in the bottom. Actually no, he's just out of range. He nearly took a hit from an Eric's missile from those Legion 90s, which you don't want. But yeah, the red team just being relentless and trying to sort of counter push here, try and keep the blue team occupied in this tree line, while they just cement control over the Lima sector.
Yeah, I think what they've noticed on the red side is that they took out so many of Razman's troops at the beginning of the game. There is a massive troop disparity on the map right now, and there is a lot more value in the red side troops than there is the blue side at the moment. And that's starting to show as they can now use these quality infantry and tanks to push heavily onto the blue side.
Yeah, we've not really seen much happening in the top. I mean, we were talking about how the blue team sent what seemed to be quite a few troops up there, but also the red team, even should I say. But not much has really happened. Yeah,
they've sent up all these units, the Su-122s, obviously not that expensive, but the OSA AKs there, 4 squads of VDV-90, the BTRDs. I think what they did was they sent up some initial forces there, but then all of the reinforcements have been coming down to Echo in the meantime, and now look at this, the MTV there just hitting the Leclerc with missiles and front armor and actually doing quite a lot of damage. The SK-60Bs not doing very much to the T-72B1, did take it down to 2 health, with the MiG-27 going to finish off that Leclerc as there is a lack of radar AA. And the Crotal not even going to finish that off. The Mistrals, oh, well, there it goes. Mistral did manage to shoot that down in the end.
Let's get down, landing right in the middle of the hotel. But this is just something I think I can't emphasize enough. If you are playing Red 4 and you're playing the Soviets, and if you don't have the MiG-27 in your deck, I think you need to ask yourself why. Because it is so cost effective. But even though that got killed, it's only 105 points compared to the 160, I believe, for a Leclerc. So just a brilliant cost-effective anti-tank plane.
Yeah, paid itself off as soon as it got that kill, and then you don't particularly mind if it goes down. Obviously, it would be good if you could have it for a second run and double its value, but either way, still effective. And now we have another MiG-27 coming in from Cheer Up, and I'll be interested to see what that is going for. And we do have the SK-60Bs coming in as well from Razman, and this Puff looks like it might take out the Book M1, but no, with missing that shot it does get taken down by the Tunguska M and the OSA AKs. The SK-60B is of course going to go down as well with all of that AA presence. Red side definitely not neglecting their AA this time round, as in the last game they were being torn apart by the F-16A bombers coming out of the blue side Scandinavian deck.
They really haven't. I mean, that was a major weakness, I thought, last game, and we both have talked about that. These OSA AKs, though, they did get a slight buff recently, and they're just so cost-effective now. 40 points for that accuracy in HE is just... It's honestly nearly unbeatable in terms of, you know, price for what you get.
Yeah, looks like Firestarter's trying to push now into these VDV, but his Legion are out in the open and being chunked by the BRDM-3 and the BTR-90 at long range. So that's going to be an issue. The VDV there might get hit by this rocket artillery. We'll have to wait and see. It's definitely going to panic them. Whether or not it actually does damage depends on whether it hits its mark. But now we have the Buratino strike coming in onto this town again. That will probably weaken that Gavarman squad and the RBS-56.
Yeah, I mean, I think if the red team manages to capture this side of the bridge, I'd go as far as to say this game's probably over, because the points disparity just seems to be so great at the moment. The red team has just killed so many enemy units for the ones that they've lost.
Yeah, the BRDM-3 there charging forwards. It already took out one Kratal, just took out a second. The first one being taken out because it revealed itself firing on an Mi-24D. These VDV-90 should be able to take care of the Jaegers. Leclerc there on the bridge trying to provide some fire support, but the T-72BU there managing to take out Weasel Toe 2. So that T-72BU from Cheer Up is going to be moving up and providing fire support, and will take care of that Leclerc if it gets in range. We do see the F-16 Fighting Falcon coming in again with the 1,000 kilogram bombs, but that did get shot down almost immediately, and I'm pretty sure to see this Puff go down as well to the Tunguska M.
Yeah, the Tunguska M very well microed by Faust there, and that gun, I believe, is it's the highest DPS weapon in the entire game. You know, if you use it against anything that doesn't have armor, it's just going to get destroyed.
So we can see a CV coming up from Cheer Up, the UAZ moving towards Hotel to capture that. Cheer Up and Faust have made so much ground on this bottom side that there really isn't much chance the blue side are going to be able to take that back. As soon as these Yukwades get into the town there, it's going to be very hard to push on that. And it's also hard for the blue side to push back into Lima at the moment without the ability to use their air support like they could in the last game, and that's really hurting them this time round. They can't dislodge any of that infantry that would be incredibly hard to push in the open. One thing that the blue 4 side generally struggles to do. MiG-27 taking out the Leclerc as well on that bridge.
That was a nice cut from the MiG-27, but I think this map just needs a different touch to the previous map. So the previous map had all this forest area where fighting with infantry was definitely preferable to fighting with tanks, like in a lot of the cases I thought. Whereas on paddy fields, you really need that heavy armor, and just having Leclercs and then some of the cheaper Leopard variants just isn't enough against these super heavy Soviet tanks, I think.
Yeah, also the red side's been using T-72s and the T-80s amongst those heavy tanks, which has provided a lot more fire support than the APCs coming out of the blue side. And here we can see a surrender vote coming out of the blue side, and it looks like ANZ is going to take this best of 3 2-1 as the blue side, Crna Buksna, fall down to the losers bracket at the end of this game. Unfortunate for the blue side, but they just lost too much ground initially to the red side after their push with Razman failed into Echo, and that really was the story of this game in a nutshell.
I think so, and it really shows when people surrender, you know, before 20 minutes have even gone by, just how dominant the red team has been this game. You know, game number 1, they had a good performance and won, but it was still a very close game, I thought. Game 2 was still relatively close. This was just an absolute one-sided game, though. Look at those points and losses.
Yeah, finishing in 14 minutes and 33 seconds. Please remember that those timers start from when the deployment phase is finished. So 14 minutes and 33 seconds is all it took for ANZ to dismantle Crna Buksna, and Razman 476 kills to 1,650 losses is really not going to do them any favors in such a highly skilled game. So really not good for a team that should be much better, and I really think they took too much of a risk trying to get too far at the start of the game, and they got punished for it. And that's basically it.
Yeah, I completely agree. I'm going back to what I was saying before about the compositional thing. The blue team played the same decks in all of these 3 games, Crna Buksna. And while the decks, I think, are very good in most situations, in this game, they needed more staying power, and I don't think they had it. I don't think that much infantry was worth the lack of armor that they had to sacrifice to bring that much infantry. I mean, maybe if they'd have managed to capture the town Echo, it might have gone differently, but you can never make that assumption against a team as good as ANZ that they won't be able to, you know, be ready to counter a kind of almost cheesy in some descriptions push, really, just with transports all the way into the town.
Yep. And I don't really think there's too much more to say about it. So there we have it. ANZ moving on in the winners bracket of the Reddit tournament, and Crna Buksna falling down to the losers bracket. And that means that Crna Buksna, if they lose one more best of 3, they will be out of the tournament. But ANZ still have that sort of barrier. If they lose a game, they will fall down to the lower bracket. But after that dominant performance, I don't think it's likely to see ANZ falling anytime soon. But that's all for now, guys. So hopefully you've enjoyed this best of 3. I will be bringing you another one soon. But in the meantime, thanks for watching. Hope you've enjoyed it, and I'll see you in the next video. Goodbye.
Bye.